Space Shuttle Atlantis was the name of one of the orbiters of the Space Shuttle program of the American National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which was responsible for sending astronauts and technical parts to the International Space Station. In one of its missions, this spacecraft went into space to repair the Hubble Space Telescope. Space Shuttle Atlantis lifted off on its maiden voyage STS-51J on October 3, 1985. This was the second shuttle mission that was a dedicated Department of Defense mission. It flew another mission, STS-61B, the second shuttle night launch, before the Challenger disaster temporarily grounded the shuttle fleet in 1986. Among the 5 space shuttles flown into space, Atlantis conducted a subsequent mission in the shortest time after the previous mission, turnaround time, when it launched in November 1985 on STS-61B, only 50 days after its previous mission, STS-51J in October 1985. Atlantis was then used for 10 flights from 1988 to 1992. 2 of these, both flown in 1989, deployed the planetary probes Magellan to Venus, on STS-30, and Galileo to Jupiter, on STS-34. With STS-30, Atlantis became the first space shuttle to launch an interplanetary probe. During the launch of STS-27 in 1988, a piece of insulation shed from the right solid rocket booster struck the underside of the vehicle, severely damaging over 700 tiles and removing one tile altogether. The crew were instructed to use the remote manipulator system to survey the condition of the underside of the right wing, ultimately finding substantial tile damage. Due to the classified nature of the mission, the only images transferred to the Mission Control Center were encrypted and of extremely poor quality. Mission control personnel deemed the damage to be lights and shadows and instructed the crew to proceed with the mission as usual, infuriating many of the crew. Upon landing, Atlantis became the single most damaged shuttle to successfully land. The survival of the crew is attributed to a steel L-band antenna plate which was positioned directly under the missing tile. A similar situation would eventually lead to the loss of the Shuttle Columbia in 2003, albeit on the more critical reinforced carbon-carbon. During STS-37 in 1991, Atlantis deployed the Compton Gamma Ray Observatory. Beginning in 1995 with STS-71, Atlantis made 7 straight flights to the former Russian space station Mir as part of the Shuttle Mir program. STS-71 marked a number of firsts in human spaceflight: 100th U.S. crewed spaceflight, first U.S. shuttle Russian space station Mir docking and joint on-orbit operations, and first on-orbit change-out of shuttle crew. When linked, Atlantis and Mir together formed the largest spacecraft in orbit at the time.
The longest mission flown using Atlantis was STS-117, which lasted almost 14 days in June 2007. During STS-117, Atlantis's crew added a new starboard truss segment and solar array pair, the S3/S4 truss, folded the P6 array in preparation for its relocation, and performed 4 spacewalks. Atlantis was not equipped to take advantage of the station-to-shuttle power transfer system, so missions could not be extended by making use of power provided by ISS. During the STS-129 post-flight interview on November 16, 2009, Shuttle Launch Director Mike Leinbach said that Atlantis officially beat Space Shuttle Discovery for the record low amount of interim problem reports, with a total of just 54 listed since returning from STS-125. Leinbach added, "It is due to the team and the hardware processing. They just did a great job. The record will probably never be broken again in the history of the Space Shuttle program, so congratulations to them." Leinbach made a similar report during a post-launch interview on May 14, 2010, saying that there were a total of 46 listed from STS-129 to STS-132. And finally, I'd like to share your opinion with me.